I declare the meeting open as a special council meeting and a planning authority meeting. So our meeting is a planning authority. I do believe we've got an apology from Alderman here. I suspect he told us he's going to be in Canberra. Item 2, declarations of interest of Alderman or close associate. There being none, moving on to item 3.1 is a development application at 30 Pass Road, Howrah for neighbourhood shopping centre. In accordance with our usual practice as a planning authority, we'll invite any people from the involved to speak to us. They have a maximum of 3 minutes to talk in the first instance, and there'll be a warning at 2.5 minutes with a tone, and then if you're available to answer questions from the Alderman, and then we'll move to the formal decision-making part and the formal debate. So,
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I believe Scott is going to speak, or Alex Scott's going to. If you can come forward, please, mate. Scott has addressed council previously. He's one of the joint proponents from Tapalia Partners, and Scott, you've got 3 minutes, mate. So.
Okay. What happens at 3 minutes? You get zapped?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, Mayor Chipman, Alderman, General Manager Andrew, council staff, I was going to say Clarence community, but no one's come here. My name's Scott Stanton, and I'm the CEO of Tapalia Partners, the developer and proponent of Gleefield Village. Thanks again for the opportunity to discuss what is really my favourite project. Tapalia Partners are specialist retail developers. This is what we do, and this will be a great retail centre at the end of the day. I'm very proud of what our team has submitted, and we're going to bring, and very proud of what we're going to bring to this community. And I think you can say that if you approve this DA tonight, that you'll be able to say that Clarence City Council has approved what will be the best supermarket in all of Tasmania. This centre is desperately needed by this community. A full-line supermarket is generally supportable by 8,000 people, whilst in this catchment we have over 23,000 people, or just on 23,000 people that don't have a supermarket within that defined catchment. So it is something that's desperately needed there. This project will bring a great investment and secure, flexible jobs to this community. It's an investment of over $30 million at the end of the day, which will create over 200 jobs during construction and another over 200 full-time jobs post-opening. The community overwhelmingly wants this project to proceed. Just last month we had our first community update meeting with almost 70 people in attendance from all ranges of the community. We'll be continuing this community engagement program throughout the project. We love to hear what the community, our customers, are thinking, and ultimately they'll help shape what this centre becomes in terms of the users and types of tenants that are there. As I've said to you before, I know what I want in a shopping centre, but I'm not the one that's shopping there. I need to know what they want. It'll be different to what I would. But at the end of the day, this centre is about bringing competition and choice to an area that until today has had neither. For this community of over 23,000 people, there hasn't been any competition and there hasn't been any choice. And ultimately, competition will drive better service and lower prices for the customer, your constituents. Although Gleefield Village hasn't been my vision, you, Clarence City Council, identified this a while ago in your own strategic planning as a need that's been unmet in that community. As I said earlier, I'm very proud of what we're going to create here. Our design is first class, and we've been very mindful and respectful of our neighbours and customers in designing the centre. The building itself and delivery areas are set back as far as possible from the residences, whilst the loading dock is totally separate from the main car park, which increases safety for mums and bubs and pedestrians generally in the centre. And the car park itself, I know I keep saying this, I think it's just brilliant. It's got big, generous aisles and with lots of flat, easily accessible car spaces. Anyway, I must also say that the staff and councillors of Clarence City Council have been brilliant to work with on this project. I can definitely say that of all the councils I've worked with across this country, Clarence City Council has been the most encouraging and always had an open door policy of being very approachable. From Mayor Chipman and Alderman to the GM, Andrew, through to the assessment officers, all have been very approachable and above all, very reasonable. It's been a very collaborative approach in getting to where we have today, and I think that's reflected in the assessment that's been delivered. And I don't normally want to single anyone out, but the staff assessment officers have been excellent throughout this entire process. Dan Ford and Ross Lavelle, particularly through the urgent amendment process that we went through, and Bruce Gibb for this DA assessment. Thank you both. Thank all three of you very much for that. There's been a handful of objections to our DA, one in support, most of which all relate to the already approved subdivision and road layout. So it's not something I can really comment on here today. But, however, there was one from our nearest competitor, which I think is at best misleading and incorrect. I trust the council will see this objection for what it is, a commercially motivated objection, looking to deny the community of choice and competition at the end of the day. Anyway, I'm not going to bang on for too much longer. If you have any town planning related questions, I've got our fantastic town planner Alex Brownlee up here with me. But I'd hope that you all vote in support of the Assessment Officer's recommendation to approve this application with conditions. Once again, thank you all. I'm very excited to be bringing this project to Clarence. Feel free to call me back up for any questions throughout tonight.
You can stay there, please. We'll just offer the Alderman the opportunity to ask questions, if there are any, please. Alderman James.
There is a reference in the officer's recommendation on page 5 which states, with the exception of the approved supermarket, trading hours for the centre must be within the following hours.
Yep.
Did your organised request a 24-hour,
Coles
7-day-a-week?
Yes.
And so Coles...
Coles, it's something they want to, across the country for all new centres. They won't trade 24 hours at all to start with. I imagine it's going to be, I think we said 7 till 10 or 7 till midnight, more than likely. But they are signing a lease that can go for 45 years, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So they want that flexibility of being able to trade that amount of time if the demand's there.
Does seem to be a chain of CDA, which...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I can't see Leafield opening past 10 o'clock to start with. But it's, who knows what's going to happen in 15 years' time, 10 years' time, 30 years' time. We don't want to put any restraints on them that might be hard to change in the future.
When we go over to condition or recommendation, condition number 15, it talks about the noise emissions measured at the boundary of a residential zone, and it says that must not exceed 55 decibels. That's part A, and 50 and 5DA above the background. Do you think this may contribute to some concern if it's going to operate in relation to the supermarket?
Well, if it's only the supermarket operating, the noise, whilst I'm not an engineer, I'd imagine the noise would be less than when the whole centre's operating. It is set back a vast distance from the residents, and we've got all the noise from the highway up above it anyway. I understand that those noise readings are Australian standards, and we expect that we'll be able to accommodate them.
So, in the acceptable solutions, it refers to, on page of our notes 14, it says the hours of operation, and they are acceptable solution. Hours of operation of a use within 50 metres of a residential zone must be within 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday to Saturdays inclusive, and 7 to 9 Sundays and public holidays. And then it goes on under the performance criteria to talk about the hours of operation, etc. I'm just wondering as to whether or not this may cause some concern to other operations nearby, which are basically constrained to certain hours of operation. You mentioned earlier in the discussion about the question of your competitors. Just wondering as to whether or not
Alderman James,
I don't
if I
think
could,
I'll speak to that.
we need to stick to planning considerations.
Yep, that's all right. Okay, yep. I understand, Steve. Now, the other matter is on page 20 of the officer's report, and it says under the Glebe Hill Neighbourhood Centre Specific Area Plan, setback to the South Arm Highway South, Arm Highway, all development must be to a setback a minimum of 15 metres from boundaries to the South Arm Highway. Under the proposal, the setback to the boundary with South Arm Highway is between 5.8 and 13.6 metres. So why is there sort of a change in that?
Oh, that's something we're unapologetic about in terms of the design. That design is so much better pushing that box right back into the highway and further away from the residences. It creates a far better design outcome at the end of the day for everyone. Having a 15 metre setback from that rear boundary, which is against the highway, which then has a massive verge going back up to the highway as well, where there's lots of cars going past it. The further we can push that box back into there, the better it works. I think it's a much better design outcome.
Will this impact upon the landscaping design that you're required to provide?
No, we can accommodate all the landscaping requirements that have been requested.
Alderman von Berto.
Mine's a very prosaic one. I wonder how long it will be from the commencement of construction through to the finished.
Yep. It'll be a 12-month construction period. And to give you an idea of our time frame, the two conditions precedent we still need to meet to get, besides a satisfactory town planning approval, is we need to get satisfactory leasing coverage from our specialty retailers, and we need a satisfactory construction price. Both of those, I'd imagine we'll have our leasing done by probably April next year, and we'll be looking to go to tender. We're going to tender in February at the moment to probably 4 builders down here. We'd like to start construction of the main works, and call it in the middle of the year, and open in the middle of 2018. We'll probably do the civil works though February of next year. We'll do it as 2 separate parcels.
Alderman Farland.
An unrelated condition, but it goes with condition 2, which is the shopping centre entry sign. In the past, the main highways have had lighting which has been extremely bright, and we don't actually have a planning condition for the LED voltage that you're going to use. But I just would like a consideration in the context that this is a highly used main road. And I find that the glare from some of those LED lights are quite annoying, particularly for night driving.
Is that you're talking about on the road or on the?
So it says here you're going to put a shopping centre entry sign off the slip road.
Oh, it's a pylon sign.
A what?
A pylon sign.
Oh, it's not lit. It's not lit?
Oh, I'm hoping it's going to be lit, but it'll be. But it doesn't have spotlights or anything on
big
it.
lit sign.
No.
Good eye.
Flashing lights.
No.
No. Okay, maybe not flashing lights.
No, don't think of it. No.
Are there any other questions? Thanks very much.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Alderman Campbell, I take it you're moving the motion. Do we have a seconder, please? Alderman Pearce. Alderman Campbell, would you like to speak to the motion?
Briefly, because I've been on the subject for 20 odd years now, and it's not before time, as we well know, has been pointed out by the speakers. We've got a population of 56,000 people jammed into 3 supermarkets, an average of about 18,000. Shop in comfort and in good competition that they haven't afforded. And I know there's a lot of people still go to the Western Shore to do their shopping, and that's not in the interests of Clarence either. So it's a great design, it's a great outcome, and I look forward to them bringing forward a couple more projects in the nearer future, possibly at Cambridge, somewhere where we can enhance the value to our.
Mayor, look, I concur with the Deputy Mayor as well. One thing I must thank Alex on Thursday. He was here for myself and Alderman Doust. I went through the representations and I thought they answered those really, really well. I'm very happy. I'm pleased, Alderman James, that the setback is going under that high, right back to the highway. I reckon that is perfect. We've talked about the signage issues in the report. I think our officers have done a good report on that. I think the road structure's got to be there early, and I think that's the way to do it. I really think it's a great proposal, and I hope we can all support it.
Other speakers? Alderman Farmer.
Non-planning issue for me. One of the things I'm very impressed with the shopping centre across the road is their use of a multicultural approach to staff employment, and I believe that this would be a good direction for the new supermarket to promote, because we have a number of migrants from overseas within Clarence, and
I do think we need to confine ourselves to planning issues,
I
Alderman
said
Farmer.
at the beginning it wasn't a planning issue, but it's a really good marketing
Well,
promotion.
unfortunately you aren't able to go any further on it.
I did.
Are you presenting an amendment?
No, I just targeted.
Are there any other speakers? Alderman James.
Look, I would like to ask Mr Lovell a question, first of all. Mr Lovell, the Shoreline Shopping Complex, what's the Woolworths hours of operation there, please? I think the Deputy Mayor's answered it for me. It's 10 o'clock they shut.
They're all 10 o'clock here.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's Coles. But I'm talking about Woolworths, through you, Mr Mayor, to Alderman Pearce. The hours of operation, look, when we discussed the Bunnings issue, I had some concerns about that, and it was particularly in relation to the hours of operation. I believe the hours of operation are excessive, and I do not support it. I think that if we are... No, come on.
Look, order, please.
Look, if you don't like...
Alderman James, you're speaking through the chair, not
That's
with Alderman
right.
Pearce.
Okay, all right.
I'll call him to order. Would you please...
Yeah,
address the
okay,
matter?
I will. So let me at least have my 2 minutes worth, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So the hours of operation here are 24 hours and presumably 7 days a week. The competition up the road presumably only has a permit to operate till 10 o'clock at night. If they were able to operate 24/7, as this one is being proposed, and if the Bunnings was basically being able to operate at that level of timings, then fair enough. And the presenter tonight made comment about the other occupation, the other development down there at the shoreline. Under the acceptable solutions, it's quite clear the hours of operation of use within a 50 metre of a residential zone must be within those 6 to 10 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. And then it goes on to say that there is an exception for the office and administrative tasks. I'm not convinced under the performance criteria that in fact the hours of operation of use within the 50 metres of a residential zone must not have unreasonable impact upon the residential amenity of the land in that residential zone. Now, it does say with the exception of vehicle ingress and egress and customer car parking, all proposed operations are over the 50 metre away from the residential zone. At the same time, Mr Mayor, why are we going to agree to 24 hours of operation when it can have an impact on the amenity of the area? And I would be surprised if a competitor doesn't start to say, well, look, why is council providing 24/7 to one operation where we have been denied operation or have not, we do not have a permit, is the correct terminology, till for a 24-hour operation. The other aspect that's been addressed in this is with respect to the height, and the height is in fact over the 8.5 metres. The siting and scale, the building height, under the acceptable solutions, the maximum height building and signage is 8.5. It does not comply. Both ground-based panel lights signs proposed would be 12.3 metres in height.
Thank you. Other speakers? Alderman Cusick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. When I look at a project of this proportion, I consider, is it a broad community benefit? Is it appropriately located for its purpose? Council's professional staff assuring me that it does not contravene any major planning or other legislation which would otherwise prohibit it. The answer to all these is yes. I'm not going to question engineering or architectural adequacy or design. We have council professionals who look at that. Nor am I going to question whether it complies with boundary setbacks, parking adequacy, etc. Again, council staff do this. I don't believe hours of operation relative to competitors' hours is relevant in considering this. As Scott has said, this is a contingency consideration, given the length of the lease, which I think he said was 50 years. With a project this important to the community, if council staff recommend its approval, there can be no sound reason why it should not be approved and proceed. I enthusiastically support it.
Von Berto.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I just have a question in relation to the hours under clause 10. It actually says, with the exception of the approved supermarket trading hours, the centre must be within the following hours, etc. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually, the permit's actually silent in relation to the supermarket hours.
That's correct. By its omission,
the obvious difference in timing of approval of these projects, obviously the shoreline was approved. Relevant on the mainland as it is today. This is actually allowing
yes, it's ready to make the application.
really is not an argument to actually dispute the fact that this permit should be
Okay, other speakers? Alderman Walker.
Look, thank you. It is a planning matter, so I always love to hear the terms choice and competition, but dealing with this as a planning authority. But it is worth noting some of the different demographics. So we're pretty much around the 55,000 people as a municipality. One Coles supermarket, 3 Woolworths supermarkets and another slated as well. So there is that disconnect with balance. I would note that trading hours have come up, and if we talk about we look at the Bunnings Mitre 10 situation, that Bunnings has hours, it's one thing, and the Mitre 10, should it wish to, could go 24 hours. This is not saying it will be 24 hours, this is saying, capacity too. Personally, I would welcome that, because there are things, especially when you have kids, etc., where you find yourself short of something and you do need something at an ungodly hour. It also allows for employment and options for shift working. So if that does transpire, I think that will be a good thing on many fronts. There were some, challenges and things worked through with the site, and as it's talked about, there is a really low value piece of real estate, which is the land between the development and the highway. So the solution with it being backed up in there really is a value add. I think it's been collaborative. I will still live in hope and probably die in despair, hoping that one day we'll get a knock on the shoulder to say we're wanting to put an Audi or a little supermarket. But I think we're pretty well down their list of priorities, because the ability for more choice and those shopping things is going to be good for the community. So I've looked through it, and I feel completely comfortable endorsing this proposal.
The competitor can apply for the change of trading hours. And bear in mind, when that supermarket was built, we didn't even have any Sunday trading then. So remember, when we actually built it. So that's a fact. So the other thing that I get sick and tired of hearing about trade, competing against trade. It's interesting, I had a discussion with one of the commissioners from the Trade Commission, Trade Practice Commission here a couple of years ago. He said, dog them in, because it is wrong, and it's wrong to even accept representations based on trade. This is planning, not trade. The other thing about the current supermarket at Howrah, trading supermarket in the country, so it trades very, very well. In fact, in their terms, it overtrades, and that's where it's not fair on the public to have to struggle into supermarkets that are overtrading. This will relieve them on this, and it'll be a real benefit to the community ongoing. We're looking into the future with this, and really obviously the council.
Motion before the Chair is the officer's recommendation for approval. All those in favour? Against? Carried. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.